Hey friends, hey friends. This is Rose, Coach Rose AJ with the Carnivore Connection coming to holla at you guys. Today we have Miss Becky in the studio. She is going to share her story with us today. Y'all know we have heartfelt and soulful conversations here on the Carnivore Connection. So, with that being said, I'm going to turn this interview over to Miss Becky, who's going to tell us all the things or just some of the things, but we'll figure it out as we go. All right, Miss Becky, go ahead. How did you find carnivore? But you don't have to start there, of course.
My husband found carnivore, and I don't know. So we were doing intermittent fasting, and I think he was just researching, and then this was the carnivore was something that came up, and he was like, "I think we should try this." I'm like, "Only eat meat? Okay." Sounds great to me. So that was in July of 2023 when we started. Um, I was 223 pounds at the time. I'm down to 169 pounds. So I feel a whole lot better. My story, I think, is similar to a lot of people. I started gaining weight in my 20s, and it just, 10 pounds here a year, 5 pounds a year. I tried the Weight Watchers, I tried lean cuisines, I tried personal trainers, all the things. And I'd lose a little bit, gain it back plus a little bit, lose a little bit, gain a little bit back, just like all the stories we hear. Um, in 2022, my husband and I took a year and we trained for a marathon. And I did ended up doing a half marathon. He did a full marathon at Disney. It was wonderful. I recommend it highly. But I only got down to 200. So I ran this half marathon at 200 pounds. And uh, I, I don't know how I did it with all that weight, but I completed it. I beat the balloon ladies. So that was great. Um, but then, here it was a year later, and I was back up another 20 pounds, 25 pounds from then. So in July, when I started, um, the first month I lost 13 pounds and what is it? 4.5 pounds or 4.5 inches around my belly. I was so inflamed, from the inflammation and bloating and all of that. I just started feeling great right away, and coming down with all of that. And by 90 days, I was in Wonderland, down to 199. I hadn't been there in a long time. So it really felt good. Um, I eat beef, pork, uh, fish, eggs, dairy, salt. Those are pretty much the things that I eat. We have recently found the carnivore ice cream and the creamy machine, and so we we try not to make it every weekend, but in fact, it's been a couple of weeks since we made it. And I just bought the supplies for it today. So I see some ice cream in my future.
I am really, really curious. You mentioned that you were over 200 pounds and that you ran the Disney Marathon and you trained with your husband. So my background also involves a lot of running. Did you find that you were able to lose weight with running, or did it kind of keep your weight stable?
I would say it kept my weight stable. I did notice that my legs were toner. So I don't know if that was the more muscle or just it toned up the muscles that were there. Um, I've always been athletic, so my mom called them PE teacher legs. So I've always had those PE teacher legs, which is a good thing, they look nice. But um, that was what I noticed, that they were toner, but I still had the big belly and, you know, shoulders and arms were heavy. Mhm.
So, have you ever had any issues with food growing up? Meaning, like from childhood or maybe when you were a teenager, where you prefer to have like sugary or processed foods? And if so, do you think that contributed to some weight gain?
I don't really think that I did have issues with food. I mean, food was a celebration. So, you know, you got an A on this test, we're going for pizza. You jumped, you know, this high in the high jumped, we're going for pizza. You know, mom has a meeting at work, we're going to eat KFC when we get home. You know, so it was a celebration. And so every little thing I did good, I ate something I wanted. And it just continued more and more and more.
You never ate out of like frustration or because you were upset or depressed or anything like that? Because I know for
Oh,
me,
sure.
mine started as early as 3.5, and I can really tell you that I ate because of every emotion under the sun, including celebrations. So yeah.
I I think I eat from stress would be the emotion that I eat from, not necessarily from anything else. I would say my eating comes from stress.
Okay. Okay, so how does it feel to be a carnivore that has your weight or her weight in check?
It feels great. I do feel like I have more to lose. I'm not done losing. The last 3 months have been very slow. Um, I've tried, you know, it came off really quick, the first 25 pounds, 30 pounds. But now this last 10 or 15 pounds have been super, super slow. Um, I've tried increasing my calories. I've tried reducing my calories. I've taken out the cheese. I added the cheese back. You know, I've done the different things and I just have to be patient and my body is adjusting. Um, and I'm sure I'll get to the point where it'll start coming off a little easier.
So, what are some things that you've tried other than the ones that you've mentioned?
Um, well, I've done like different month-long coaching things, learning, like I said, about the different macros, like what macros I should be eating. I do randomly use the Chronometer app to track my food. I don't do it all the time, but you know, just to see where my fat to protein ratio is, um, what the calorie estimate is, um, you know, during those month-long coaching sessions or things like that. I will do those. The thing is, for carnivore, there's not a real set. It doesn't say, okay, you're this big, you need to be this, you need to do this, you need to do this. You really have to follow your body and see what your body tells you. That's where I've tried increasing and I've tried decreasing, and they both have worked. So, which one's right? They probably both are. You have to do both, I think. You know, do one for a while and then you do the other one for a while. I do eat 3 meals a day. Um, I usually have 2 to 3 eggs for breakfast and bacon. And then I'll have probably uh, a half pound or so of steak. And then for dinner might be crispy beef, might be another steak, or pork chop or a piece of salmon, something like that.
Okay, let me tell you, I eat probably three. 3.5 times that amount in one sitting. Okay, so you are good, girl. You are good. Do you typically have sides of any kind, any carnivore sides? I know you mentioned you've given up dairy or tried to do without the cheese and stuff like that, but do you have any sides
I
that you make?
do. I went back to cheese. I was off for a month and I was like, I didn't see a difference. So here, bring on the cheese. So yes, I'll have but as people talk about as a side, it's not, a thing, or it's a condiment. It's a condiment, not side. So I will have some cheese. I'll have a burger patty with cheese and bacon. Um, I do eat. I've One of the things that I'm doing currently is I'm instead of putting my butter on the steak and letting it melt, I'm got cold butter from the fridge and I'm, chewing on it.
Yeah.
So uh I am doing that. And it's a little acquired. So the first couple of times it's like, but as the months gone on, I'm definitely enjoying it more. So
Good. Do you eat stuff like sardines or anything like that as a
I've
side dish
bought
or
them.
eggs or even eggs?
I've bought them, but I haven't got the courage to open the can or eat them yet.
Okay. So why haven't you got the courage to open the can? If you've bought them, come on.
uh, they seem really like fishy and have the bones and all of that in there. I have a with texture, like even like how they have those things you put in your bottle of water, like the lemonade or whatever that we used to have. I couldn't eat those because they were too gritty. So I don't like that texture. And I think that's what's holding me back.
So I buy the Walmart brand, the Great Value brand, like $1 a
Heard
can
those are good.
and they don't have what is it, the heads on them. And I mash mine. The only way I can eat mine, to be quite honest, Becky, is if I mash them all up
Yeah.
and just heat them up really good and put like bacon grease in it or something like that and some seasoning.
Well, that's would be great.
Yeah,
I have
so
plenty of
try,
that stored.
huh?
I have plenty of the bacon grease stored in
Yeah.
the fridge.
So try it. And I know some people have it with butter or different things, but I have to have mine totally mashed up. So I get it, the texture
Yeah.
thing and just seeing them, but you get used to it, girl. Used to it.
Just like the butter, you get used to it.
Yeah. So what
Okay.
about eggs? Do you use them as a side or are they strictly for breakfast?
Mostly for breakfast. A couple of times when I've had to take, when I go somewhere and I have to bring food, I've brought carnivore deviled eggs. And so then I've had those to be able to eat. And
Yeah. So can you share, like, I don't know if you travel a lot or have to pack food with you when you go places. Do you carry food with you when you travel or go to restaurants or anything, or do you typically choose restaurants that has menu items that you'll actually eat?
so we do eat out more than we should, but yes, uh, I will get the eggs and the bacon usually, or a steak with no side, no seasonings or no side. We found the places that we can do that and that won't charge us for the whole meal. They'll just charge me for what and I do that. I have taken pocket bacon or purse bacon, made up some bacon and had a few strips in my purse when I've gone places. In When I went to California to visit my sister and my mom, the first day we went to Costco and I got, the 6 pack of steaks and a dozen eggs and um some, the grass-fed butter and just ate that when I was there.
So you tend to take care of your needs wherever you go.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good
And
to
I'm
hear.
fortunate that like my girlfriends, we go to lunch and they, we there's a few places that they know I won't go. Like there's a new place that opened up that all they do is salads. Well, there's nothing there for me. So they go together and they do that. And the three of us go somewhere else. And they don't have any issue with me eating the way that I am. And so I'm very fortunate with that. Or I might get the sides and let her have it,
There
depending on
you
what.
go. Teamwork, right?
Exactly.
So, are there any carnivore foods that are legal or enjoyable, however you want to phrase it? Any carnivore foods that you absolutely love, but refrain from eating because you might indulge in them too much? Like for me, it's cheese. I mean, hands up cheese and bacon and bratwurst. But when I go there and I totally enjoy it. What about you?
I would say it's the carnivore ice cream. I mean, I could eat it every day,
Yeah.
and I need to, yeah, I shouldn't.
Oh, I've never had carnivore ice cream, and ironically, I got a DM that asked me, what would I recommend? Have I ever made it? And I just looked up, I think it was Dr.
It is.
Kiltz's recipe, and I just sent the person the link. I go, no, I've never tried it. So what's in carnivore ice cream?
So currently when we make it, we use there's uh, my husband makes it, so I don't know exactly, but there's water, heavy cream, and whole and milk, and 4 scoops of chocolatey whip, and um there might be some allulose. I think he puts a little bit of allulose in there, and that's it.
Okay.
And he blenders it up, and then we pour it in the 3 little creamy things and freeze them overnight. And then each of the little creamy things we can get, we each get a serving out of. Yeah.
Girl, three? It's a lot of work. Okay. For three, you better give me, a gallon's worth. Okay. And I'd probably eat it to be quite candid.
And
All
that's kind of the good thing, that it's, each little container is probably like, this big. And um so he and I get a serving from, so for one night. Yeah.
right.
And it doesn't, he's, my husband is a good cook. So it doesn't take him long to do these things. He just whips it out. That, because I've done it a couple of times, but he just makes it look so easy and he can whip it out. So
Let him do it. There you go.
right.
He's the professional,
Mhm.
right?
Exactly.
So let me also ask you this. Who are some of the people that you follow on social media that has helped you to stay true to the carnivore game or way of life?
Um, I would say Laura's Bath is one of the ones I really enjoy her videos. She has cooking videos, she has traveling videos. She just really has a good variety, and she's not super strict. And then the other thing is she's done it, I think 6 years, I think is about how long she's been doing it. So she has, a good base on what she's doing and how to do it and that. So I would say she's definitely one that I watch the most. Um obviously Dr. Barry and Kelly Hogan. I watch hers quite a bit. I enjoy her interviews with other people.
About books, do you read books or listen to podcasts pertaining to the carnivore way of life? If so, who are they?
All right, so I've read Dr. Baker's book. Um, I think it is called Carnivore Diet or
Carnivore
something.
diet.
Yeah. And then one that I really enjoyed was Dr. Avadia's How to Stay Off My Operating Table. And I really enjoyed learning about, he has 5 steps of metabolic health. And I feel like I have reached them all. I think I had 2 that I was already okay with, but now I've reached all 5 of the his steps to metabolic health. And so that was a good probably non-scale victory, I would say that I feel like I've had. So I did really enjoy his book, and I refer to it quite a bit. Nutrition by Judy.
Oh,
She has
yes.
a couple of books, and I've read hers also.
Okay. You are a really good reader. Now, I would say that I would listen to all that on Audible. Like I used to always love to read. I mean, like it was a form of escape, to be quite candid, right?
Yeah.
But when
Hmm.
I hit around my mid 30s, I used to read so much that I would get headaches. So I
Oh.
kind of drifted off from that and went to Audible. But I do love a
Mhm.
good book now. I do love a good book.
Mhm.
Tell us the two things that were okay when you two of the metabolic points that were okay that you were okay with
The
before
first one
you.
was my blood pressure. That's one thing I haven't ever had an issue with is my blood pressure.
Mhm.
Um, I'm trying to think what the other is. I have it right here. So the first one is the waist circumference should be under 35 for women. So I was definitely not there. Fasting blood glucose of 100 or less. I don't know, but I think mine was higher, and
Oh,
it's down to 89 now. Um, my blood pressure, it says blood pressure um, below 130 over 70, and it's always been there. And oh, my triglycerides, I think have always been in the right spot. But the HDL, it should be um, over, I believe it's over 40 for women, and the triglycerides should be under 150,
okay.
are what the five things are.
So you were pleased with your blood pressure, and what was the other point that you were good to
I
go
think it was
on?
the triglycerides. Mine were
Okay,
in the right spot.
okay.
Yeah.
And then you worked on the other three and got them to where you wanted them. Okay.
And
Well,
those are things you don't really necessarily work on. They just happen as your body heals.
you know what? I'm gonna say the waist thing, girl. The waist thing for me, I have to work on it, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So let me ask you this before we get ready to close out, Miss Becky. Let's say, for instance, there was somebody just like you out in the universe, same exact problems or way of life, the same weight, the same age, same part of the country. But this person was sitting on the couch, right? And she just tossed her hands up in the air and said, I just give up. I've tried, the Slim Fast, I've tried Weight Watchers, I've tried everything under the sun. Nothing is working and I'm well over 50. This is it. This is the way I'm going to spend the rest of my life. Because actually, that was me. I threw my hands up, got tired of dieting, got tired of over exercising just to maintain weight. Then the hormones hit, and I just went cuckoo. Okay. So, say for instance, it was somebody in your same circumstances. What words of wisdom or advice or compassionate conversation would you have with them to encourage them to get up off the couch just one more time and give it another shot, whether it's carnivore, keto, or just cutting out some crap foods and to begin again? Because this last time could be the actual last time where
Right.
they find recovery, freedom, and can eat tons of food and feel great and lose weight. What words could you offer that person?
I would say absolutely try it. I was like, carnivore? What? I like meat. I mean, I'm Nebraska, born and raised, meat and potatoes all day long. So I eat more meat than my husband does. Even before I started carnivore, he would eat two-thirds of a steak and mine would be gone. So I enjoyed it. And it has done so many things. It hasn't cured everything, but it has done so many things. My rosacea is so much better. My joints feel so much better. I've I'm wearing a size 10. I don't remember the last time I wore a size 10. Um, I was pushing an 18 and maybe a little bit more before that. So if you want a whole new wardrobe, I recommend the carnivore diet.
Yes. Yes.
Um, one thing about eggs and bacon and steak, you can cook those things in 5 minutes. It is so easy to do. I am not a cook. I would I would leave the house in the middle of the day and go get my McDonald's and come home because I didn't want to cook whatever was in the refrigerator. Now I have a steak thawed, I throw it in the air fryer, or even if it's frozen, I can throw it in the air fryer.
Mhm.
It's just easy and I feel a lot better. I
Yes.
totally recommend it.
Thank you for that testimony. Now, girl, look, I said that that was the last question, but it's obviously not because I'm just so curious about life in general. But with the holidays being here, because we're recording this on December 10th, right? With the holidays being here, if you could have one wish for this holiday season, one world wish, one community wish, one neighbor wish, what would it be? Besides peace on earth and everybody has a home and loved ones, what would it be?
I think um transparency about our food and what is actually in, what are natural flavors? What um I think that's one of the things that we just don't know what is all in our food, and I would like there to be better transparency on that. Um, the more the research that I've done and the videos I've watched, it's kind of scary what
Mhm.
all that they've started, putting in our food and the things that are allowed in our food in the United States versus what's allowed in Europe. You look at the ingredients list and there's like 10 things in Europe and there's 20 things and you can't pronounce any of these things. I've never been a good speller, but I can't pronounce this stuff anyway. So
Yeah.
I think that would be something I would hope for.
Okay, thank you. That's a very beautiful and valid wish. So, y'all, this is Coach Rose AJ signing out of the studio. I like to say the studio because you know what? One day I'm going to be in an actual studio, you guys, okay? With Miss Becky's story. Thank you, Becky, for joining me here today for this conversation. And guys, ironically, there's another question here.
Okay. I was going to say, thank you so much for having me too. You were so much fun, and I enjoy watching your videos and being part
You.
of your groups. So thank you.
Well, thank you. There's one more question though, guys.
Okay.
Okay, so like I follow Miss Becky on social media, so I reached out to her. We started chatting a little bit, and I actually went to Texas in October and had a Carnivore Connection meetup, and Miss Becky was there, and it's so wonderful to meet like-minded people where we don't have to explain ourselves, why we're doing certain things and whatnot. And how important is it for you to have a community, whether it's virtual or in real life? And actually, you met people from your neck of the woods, right? You met a
Hmm.
couple of people from your neck of the woods. How important is community, carnivore community, for you, Miss Becky?
Well, my answer is different than everybody else. As an introvert, and having a supportive friend, friends and my husband, I have been doing okay on my own. I haven't, like I said, I've joined a couple of month-long coaching things, but I didn't continue on with those. Um, so I have been doing okay without the, a big support group, but it's definitely was nice to sit down for an afternoon and chat with a group of ladies that are feeling the same way. So, um, we did go to a meetup, in Waco. We went down there for a meetup. So I am on some groups. When the next one pops up, I will go.
Nice. So it sounds like you prefer in-person
Oh,
events
definitely more in
versus
person.
the
Yeah.
online.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. There you have it. All right, guys. Once again, thank you so much for joining us for this beautiful conversation with Miss Becky. And is there anywhere that you want people to follow you or connect with you if they have any questions? If not, that's okay too.
Sure. I'm BJE Home on Instagram. You can find me there.
Okay, so is it okay if I include it in the show notes?
Sure.
All right, all right.